Hi guys, today we'll be looking at genetic crosses. Genetic crosses can usually be complete dominance, incomplete dominance, or codominance, depending on the genotype of the parents. Complete dominance refers to a genetic cross where the dominant allele masks the recessive allele. Therefore, the dominant allele will usually be a capital letter, such as capital T, and the recessive allele will usually be a small letter, such as small t. Incomplete dominance refers to a genetic cross between two phenotypically different parents, producing an offspring different from both parents with an intermediate phenotype. This genetic cross shows incomplete dominance. For example, it can be when red flowers are crossed with white flowers to produce pink flowers. Usually, both of the characteristics have capital letters. Codominance refers to genetic cross in which both alleles are equally expressed in the phenotype. If we take the same example and red flowers are crossed with white flowers, it would usually result in a red flower with white spots. That is known as codominance. Usually, it is also both two capital letters representing each allele. The inheritance of sex-linked characteristics. Sex-linked characteristics are carried on the sex chromosomes, which are the X chromosomes and the Y chromosomes. Usually, many of the sex-linked characteristics are carried on the X chromosomes and are determined by the subscript, such as if the trait is a dominant characteristic, it would be X capital H. Or if it is a recessive inherited disorder, it would be X small h. The subscript determines whether it is dominant or recessive. Dihybrid crosses. A dihybrid cross involves the inheritance of two characteristics instead of one. Mendel explained that the results obtained from dihybrid crosses according to his law of independent assortment showed that the alleles of the gene for one characteristic segregate independently of the alleles of a gene for another characteristic. The two alleles for the genes will therefore come together randomly during gamete formation. More simply, this says that one characteristic is not dependent on another. This means that the two characteristics are transmitted to the offspring independently of one another. The above law applies if the genes of the two characteristics are not on the same chromosome. This means that if the genes for hair color and eye color are on the same chromosome, they could be inherited together. Therefore, they would be dependent on one another. However, if they are on two separate chromosomes, they will not be dependent on one another and will be inherited separately. And that's all for this video. Thank you.